I just got back from NAB 2024, and while I was there for several days, I carried around a camera to film different aspects of the show. Now, when you go to a show like this, you see a lot of different camera setups, and in the past, I brought a lot of equipment with me. This year, however, I wanted to go with something powerful and lightweight that had battery life that would last me all day, if not both days, without requiring a charge. So this is the setup as I pulled it out of my bag. Of course, I had to break it down to travel back to Montana. We're going to assemble it, and I'm going to talk about how I was able to film at NAB with a easy to carry around setup without having to carry a ton of accessories and stuff with me. So the base setup here is the Sony ZV-E1. Now, the reason that I went with this camera is because essentially it is a Sony a7S III in a small, lightweight body. The reason that I went with this type of camera is because it's better in low light situations. And at the NAB show, there are booths that are extremely well lit, and there are others that are a bit darker. And so there's a lot of different scenarios that I might find myself in. That, and if we decided to go out in the evening, it's definitely dark outside, I wanted a camera that was going to perform well. Now, I chose the Sony 16 to 35G. This is the PZ lens that has power zoom. And what I really like about this lens is its ability to zoom in and out smoothly, which is a video type feature where typically a more traditional photography lens would require me to manually zoom in and out, which sometimes just doesn't come across as smooth. So the camera has a Smallrig cage on it. And the reason that I have the cage on it is because we have a lot of accessories that we're going to attach. And then of course I have the brand new Peak Design strap here. This is in a new color. So same strap, just in a new color that's available now, and just love it because I was able to keep my wrist on the camera just as support and carry it around all day long. Didn't have any fatigue. Let's go ahead and build out this camera so you can see the accessories that I used. Well, I brought everything inside of this Peak Design cube that went inside of my Peak Design travel backpack. And as I open this up, you can see that there's a variety of things in here. First of all, we'll start with the monitoring system, which is the Atomos Shinobi. Decided to go with this because the monitor on the back of these cameras is quite small. I'm getting shots really quick as there are a lot of other people trying to do the same thing. And so I want a good monitoring solution so that I can assure that what I'm capturing is in focus, exposed properly, all that good stuff. My Rode mic foam cover for the handheld mic that I use sometimes when asking questions. I have my Wireless Pro from Rode mics here as well, which opens up, and then I'm able to access my two transmitters and my receiver, which I used for interviews, and this worked absolutely fantastic. The Wireless Pro is a compact system, and this is a charging case, which means every time that I am done, I just slap them right back in there, and everything begins charging so that I don't have to worry about any batteries running out. I have two cables that we will use here as well. And then we have the battery, V-mount battery from Smallrig. Now, this is a 99 watt hour battery. And the reason that it's 99 is because 100 is illegal to fly with. And so 99 is the maximum size battery that I can fly with without running into any issues. So we'll go ahead and extend out this V-mount plate, which you can see attaches to the bottom of the camera. Now, what's great about this cage that we're using here is you just simply slide this right on. And so I've slid it right on there, you can see, and then we just push these down just to lock it in place. And we've locked it in place. I'm gonna move the battery in a little bit closer just to right there and lock that in place. And what we're doing essentially is adding a massive battery to the back of this camera so that we can power not only the monitor, but also keep the camera charged up as well. Now we'll mount the monitor to the top of the camera. You can see I'm using a Smallrig swivel here, which mounts with a 3/8 inch thumb screw, as well as RE locating pins to make sure that everything stays aligned and I don't have to worry about things kind of coming loose and swiveling to the side. I want to use the built-in swivel of this particular attachment. So now we have the D-tap plug. We've got a dummy battery with D-tap right on the back end here. And so essentially I just ran this right underneath and plugged it into the side of the battery. Now we have power running to the Shinobi. Then I took my HDMI cable, which is a full-size HDMI cable, down to micro HDMI. And that's required just because the camera does not have a full-size HDMI on it. And so what I did was I routed this around just because there's a little bit of extra cable here. and then I plug this right into the side of the camera. But there is also a screw that you put on here that is going to lock down that cable, so that way if the cable gets snagged or bumped or something like that, I don't have to worry about the cable breaking off inside of the camera, there being any sort of issues there. So this is really nice because it provides peace of mind and stability so that you don't damage the port on your camera. So we'll just go ahead and plug that in and then tighten down this screw to lock it into place. And that's very secure. I don't have to worry about it now. To charge the camera, I just went with a simple cable that I already had. Probably would have chosen a slightly different cable, like a USB-C to USB-C, another one with a 90 degree instead of this USB-A. But the top of this battery has two USB-C ports and a USB-A, and it also has a couple of barrel connections as well for different outputs. So we'll just go ahead and plug this in, and then we'll plug this end of the side of the camera. And this is how I was able to keep the camera 100% charged all the time. Now I would go ahead and power up the battery, and the battery is going to start charging the camera. And now we'll go ahead and power everything up. We'll turn the monitor on, and you can see the monitor is powering up, and we'll turn the camera on also. And so this completely handheld setup here is extremely light. The only thing that I need to add to it is my Rode mic. So I grab the receiver, and there are two cold shoe positions on this cage, one over here on the right, one on the left. Now the one on the left is kind of out of the way, so I use the little clip that you can use to clip on a shirt or something like that. It just slides right into the cold shoe mount like so, and then plug in the cable into the side of the camera, and we're ready to go. Now for interviews, I would take one of the other mics here and attach it to this grip. So we just simply slide it right in here like so. It's powered on, as you can see, and then we put the foam over the top of it, and we have a nice microphone for doing interviews. What's absolutely great about this setup is how lightweight it is, and the fact that I have a battery that's able to power the monitor and keep the camera charged all day long without any issues. Now, most of the time I was shooting in this situation, and what I really like about the flat back of the battery is that I can add additional stabilization to my shots by putting the battery into my chest, positioning the monitor, and looking down and getting nice steady shots using both of my hands on the camera and the battery against my chest. This is a very tight connection here, so I don't have to worry about the battery slamming into the back of the camera. Now, if I need to access the back of the monitor, I just simply loosen this screw here and pop the battery down at an angle so that I can access the back of the display. I could also flip the display out to the side here, and so this display would be out on the side of the camera. But most of the time I didn't need to access the display because I could see everything here and then just make my exposure changes manually using the controls. I'm very comfortable with this camera, so I don't necessarily need to look at the back of the screen to see what my aperture is set at or what my ISO is set at. I can make those adjustments on the fly and just monitor on the screen. Now, what's great about the Shinobi as opposed to, say, the Atomos Ninja 5 is that the Ninja 5, though it does record internally and I could just record straight to the monitor, it's a bit heavier. I wanted this to be as light of a setup as possible, but I easily carried this all day long and it was not a problem. It didn't bother me. I just simply would put my hand in the hand strap and then hold the camera like so. And even when I'm in conversations and I'm not using the camera, I'm just holding it down to my side. It's not stressing out my hand at all just because it's not a very heavy camera. I mean, this weighs about the same as if I was carrying my A1 with a 70-200 lens on it. I could do that all day long, not a problem. So when you're planning to be filming kind of run and gun all day long, it's important to have a lightweight setup that has enough juice to get you through the day, and that's exactly what I wanted. What I witnessed at NAB is a lot of people with heavy, overcomplicated setups. Whether they were carrying that around all day long or had to wheel some sort of a cart around to keep all of their gear together, that's a lot. When you're maneuvering through a very busy convention center with tons of booths and people walking around everywhere, it's best just to have a compact setup that's easy, that you know is going to work. With 2 full days of shooting interviews and B-roll all over the NAB show floor, I wouldn't have even needed to charge this battery. At the end of day 1, I still had 62% battery left in this Smallrig battery, so I topped it off for the next day, and at the end of the second day, traveling home and putting everything back together here, you can see I have 81% of the battery life left. That's pretty darn fantastic. I even went by the Smallrig booth to show them my setup, and they thought, oh, you probably get about 5 hours of life out of that battery. And I said, well, the way that it's set up and everything here, I've gotten 2 days of shooting, and while I'm not shooting continuously every hour of the day, I was out shooting plenty of B-roll that filled up 1.5 128 gigabyte SD cards, and I was able to do that without ever having to change the battery. I only had to change an SD card because I filled it up. That's all that I had to do. So when you are out shooting and you need a setup that is lightweight, that is nimble, that you're going to be carrying all day long, that you can add some stability to it and get some nice steady shots, that has monitoring, that actually is really good in low light, a camera setup like this is absolutely fantastic. The only thing that I would change is maybe routing the wire a little bit differently. I don't like having this charging cable coming all the way up and out of the top. I would have used something maybe with a 90 degree that was a little bit more slim. What other thing that's awesome about this is if I need to go into selfie mode, I simply just rotate the screen around like so, and I've got front view here, and I can hold this by the battery or by the bottom of the camera, and now I am shooting in a selfie mode. That's what's really cool about this swivel from Smallrig, is it's very stable. I didn't witness the screen falling or, any issues with the screen at all, because the amount of resistance that they built into this is pretty good. And if I wanted to add a bit more or lock it down, there's a twist screw right here that I could twist, and then that would lock the angle so I don't have to worry about the monitor flopping up and down. Very easy. I did not need to carry any tools with me for any of this. Setting this camera up when I got to NAB and taking it apart didn't require any tools other than just my fingertips. My goal was packing light and carrying light, and that is exactly what I achieved with this camera setup. Let me know what you would have taken to NAB, or perhaps what you did take to NAB down in the comment section below. Was it as compact as this? How many batteries did you have to bring with you? And what would your solution be? Share that with me down in the comment section. Check out the links in the description below for all of the parts and accessories that I use to build out this setup. If you're looking to do something lightweight for yourself, I can't recommend this highly enough. It was exactly what I needed, and it performed flawlessly. That's going to do it for this video. Thanks for checking it out. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you back in another one soon. Take care.